Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to have another episode of Stroke Survivors. Today we have with us Jeff and Jim. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk all things stroke today. You're going to just tell us kind of what you went through, what you're dealing with, and bring us up to speed. And you can answer in any order. We're just going to have a discussion. All right?
Okay.
So, tell us how long ago you had the stroke and were you airlifted? Kind of bring us up to speed a little bit with what was happening at the time. Did you even realize that you had a stroke?
Jeff, you go first.
I love it.
Okay. I had a stroke last year, March.
So that would have been 2022.
2022. Yeah. And it was a clot-driven stroke. I had a clot in the back of the head, and I had one across my kidney on the left side. My stroke happened on the right hemisphere of the brain, which means it affects the left side of my body.
Correct.
So I have challenges with my mobility in the leg and in the arm that are slowly coming around. The stroke manifested itself for me in the form of a migraine headache that I had over the course of maybe a week before following up with a doctor who told me I should get a CAT scan done, which I did. That's what revealed the clots. I then had to fly out to Colombia to further investigate and see what could be done, if anything could be done. Thankfully it was. I was medication that I'm still taking, mostly in the form of thinners, in order to thin the blood and ensure that I don't have more clots, stops, and as a consequence, more strokes. Right. Although the doctor in Colombia did tell me that I should be aware of the fact that this could happen again, which again is a reason for medication and making sure that I take my meds.
Right. Did they put in a stent? Do you know if they
they
didn't put in a stent? Okay.
No.
Okay. What about you, Jim?
Well, I had mine October 27th, which is about a year and 8 months about.
Okay.
And mine also was a clot, but it wasn't a clot of blood. It was what you call forget the thing now.
Did you have a bleed?
No, it wasn't blood clot. It was cholesterol.
Okay, you had cholesterol before.
Yeah.
You had a history of cholesterol.
Well, not that I know of, to be honest.
Okay.
Because cholesterol is something you can't really check. Like you could check your blood pressure, your sugar, but
they do tests for they do cholesterol tests.
They do that,
Yeah.
but you don't have it home to do it.
Right. You don't have a home kit to do it. You have to go and do the blood work.
So it didn't feel funny when you got cholesterol.
So you didn't know. So you're saying, okay, so he's saying then that you didn't know that you had high cholesterol at the time.
Exactly.
And so you did not know how to deal with that because it was unknown.
Yes.
So you found out then that you had high cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's when I know I heard about stroke, but at that time we only know old people getting strokes and so on, right?
Yeah.
But and then you thought it's just an ordinary stroke.
Right.
But you learn now that when you get a stroke, you got to find out what's the cause and what kind of stroke it is, which means that it either could be hemorrhagic stroke or ischemic stroke.
Correct.
Now, I had a ischemic stroke.
Okay.
So it was a black artery here, the main artery in my neck on the left side, which affects the right side.
Right. And you're right-handed?
Yeah.
Jeff, are you right-handed?
I am.
Okay, so you still have good function of your right hand because that was not affected.
Correct.
But in Jim's situation, his dominant hand was affected by the stroke.
Right.
So that's very opposite to.
Yeah.
That's good. Tell me about your hospitalization and were you flown out and what was happening?
Well, I'll tell you how it all started with me. I was home one day working in an apartment doing some vanish into a closet.
Mhm.
I felt kind of funny, but I didn't, pay no mind to it. When I went home, I was on the phone, and I could hear my speech getting slow. That again, I still ain't worried about that, because the furthest thing from my mind is a stroke.
A stroke, yeah.
Because
At your age.
and being the person I am, always active, always going, I wasn't thinking stroke. I say a stroke can't catch up with me.
Okay.
He got me very quick. But the following day, a friend of mine called me and asked me what I'm doing, because we normally play draft. I tell him, bye, I hear feeling kind of down, so come let's play some draft so I could take my mind off what's going on. I didn't know what it is.
Mhm.
He came and we started playing. And we played about 3 games. While I was playing draft, a lady from the farm ground called on the phone and asked me if I know about land for sale or I got any for sale.
Mhm.
So I answered her. She said, what happened to your voice? I said, how? It sound funny? Say, yes, you sound like you're getting a stroke.
Wow.
She detected that.
Right away.
Yeah. So then we got up right away. I said, by something wrong, because I find when I was even pushing the draft man, I had to make a second attempt to get a push, and then when I was taking up on, I had to grab, so it was kind of funny. Still ain't paid no 100% mind, but think about a stroke.
Mhm.
Then the guy said, well, let's go by the polyclinic then. When we checked to go by the polyclinic, it was during the time when they had a COVID and the height of COVID. So apparently one of the workers there was infected and the polyclinic was closed.
Mhm.
So we couldn't go there. We called Brian. He said he's allotted patients for the day, so he didn't take nobody else on. So I said, all right, leave it till tomorrow. That
Wow.
was Thursday. When I woke up Thursday, no, that was the Thursday. The Friday now when I woke up, I started walk. Jackie said, "What, Jim? You dragging your right leg?"
Mm.
So it had done start to affect my leg.
So all this time you still didn't think that it was a stroke, even
I-
though the person on the phone said you sound like you're having a stroke. You can't move the draft man.
I know it was something, but I still couldn't believe it was a stroke come to me.
Okay, so now we're on day 2. It's the second day now.
Yes.
Okay, so when did you actually get to the hospital? Was it the 3rd day or the 2nd day? Do you remember?
It was the 3rd day.
The 3rd day you got to the hospital. Okay.
I went in there in the morning because Jackie wanted to go by Dr. Lowe. But when she see I dragged my legs, she said, well, let's go by the hospital.
Right.
And we gone there, it had also an influx of patients with the COVID.
Mhm.
So I was there from 1 till about 11 o'clock
Mhm.
before I got admitted to the ward.
Wow.
And they couldn't give me any treatment because they had to do a CT scan first.
Right.
To
Imaging
see,
and tests
yes,
to see
to
what
see
was going on.
whether it would have been a bleeding stroke or a clot.
Okay.
'Cause, if I had a bleeding stroke and they had to give me tenors,
Mhm.
it was for me.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. And then were you flown out? I know that Jeff was flown out to Colombia. Did you fly out?
Yes, I did. I went in there Friday in hospital. They told me I shouldn't be there no longer than the Tuesday.
Mhm.
So I stayed back there in hospital until the Saturday. And I came out the Saturday and went home. They did after doing CT scans and all, and they ain't seen nothing, things like that, right? Because the clot wasn't here.
Right.
And the CT scan probably didn't pick up because they were looking at the brain.
Okay.
So that's what they were focused on.
Okay.
So I went home and we had again a host of things were going on because the COVID was going on. The COVID was now in my house
Mhm.
and my aunt-in-law, which is like my wife's mother, she also had get the COVID, didn't know until she fell down for lack of oxygen, I think,
Yeah.
and broke her hand.
Okay.
So she ended up in the hospital.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
And while I'm there, I mean, Jackie was dealing with me, so she had to go and deal with her. So Jackie dealing with her, taking her off the ground and bringing her to the hospital, not thinking COVID. So she was all mucked up in her. So Jackie came down with COVID.
Wow. COVID plus a stroke.
Yeah, so
Very involved. Very
it was a lot of trouble in the family around that time.
Yeah. And all this time, you were where?
In the hospital.
You were hospitalized. When you were in the hospital, after they've done the CT scan and everything else, did you then believe that you had a stroke?
Well, I was walking about in the hospital.
You were walking in the hospital?
In the hospital. They even
Okay.
I remember that because the nurse told me, don't go up that corridor because they got a lot of COVID going on. So
Okay.
stay away from
So
there.
you had the stroke, but you were still able to walk and use your arm
Yes.
at that time?
Everything.
Did you have any headaches? Did you have any other symptoms?
No headaches, not at all.
Okay. All right. Jeff, did you lose any speech or communication?
No, I didn't.
Any communication issues? No.
No.
Okay, so that's between two of you, you have the same communication there, so that's good. All right.
So-
Were there any emotional changes that you dealt with, like?
Still dealing with.
Still dealing with. Tell us about it.
It's weird.
Tell us. We want to hear it.
Too weird to talk about.
I was never the emotional type. But COVID, I think I had COVID before COVID became COVID.
Okay.
Maybe a year or two earlier.
Mhm.
The COVID really hit us last year, but I had it made it the December before. So I couldn't blame it on that.
Mhm.
But after I got the stroke, I realized that everything was affecting me between the ears. And it didn't take a lot. And that hasn't gone away yet.
Okay, so you're still dealing with it.
Yes.
Okay. This is part of the recovery phase that happens, and there are different stages of recovery. Some people have what we call emotional effect, and others have less of that kind of symptom. Was that your situation as well?
I sometimes get emotional, yes.
Like things you that never affected you before, no, you're more sensitive to?
Yeah, kind of sensitive, yeah.
Okay, all right. What about any cognitive changes? Was there any memory loss? Any like short-term memory, like you're
Yeah.
forgetting
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Long-term memory loss is excellent. Short-term, not so good.
Okay.
I tend to forget more short-term things easier.
Mhm.
I find myself relying on other memories of association to bring things back that I should remember that are important, like coming to this interview.
You almost forgot?
Well, yeah, Dorothea kept reminding me because there was somebody else who wanted me to do something else.
Uh-huh.
And she had to tell me, remember you have that interview with Gina today, so I had to message the folks to tell them, no, I can't do that again,
Right.
and reschedule.
So then relying on others to kind of keep you.
Big help, big
Yeah,
help.
Yeah. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, my short-term may get short, I would say, because I would take up the phone and say, oh, let me call Gina.
Mm-hmm.
But when I take up the phone, I would see a WhatsApp that I didn't read yet. By the time I finish reading that WhatsApp, I forget I was going
That you were going to call.
And I might try to answer back to that WhatsApp, type everything, and put on the phone, and send a message.
Yeah, that happened to me a couple times.
When I go
Some
back, I'll
real
see the
issues.
message there
Yep.
wasn't sent.
Right.
So I'll remember that I was going to call you by strolling through the phone of prayer calls, and your name might just pop up and I say,
Wow.
okay, Jane, you're so going call.
And this is happening every day, a
Uh,
couple of times throughout the day
Yep.
with different things.
Correct.
Yes.
Right, so memory is an area that they are struggling with presently,
Yep.
even though they had the stroke a year or 2
Yeah.
years
Correct.
previously. So we're going to take a little break now and we're going to come back with part 2 where we discuss some other important and exciting topics. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to support the gentlemen who are surviving and recovering still from a stroke. We'll see you in a few.